I'm recording something really quick and dirty today because I just want to share this information. And I think a lot of my clients and I think my audience in general and myself, we're all talking AI, right? It's the topic of the moment. I can't scroll my Facebook feed without seeing somebody leveraging AI in some way or trying to create something AI related in some way. And I thought I'd just do a very quick and dirty recording of some of the ways that I use AI, and then also, which I think might be useful, doing a bit of a comparison between the different copywriting or languaging tools out there. So I've been doing this a lot recently. What I've been doing is actually having 3 different systems open. So I open up Jasper, which I use, ChatGPT, and then SureWriter, which is a new one as well. And I've been using the same prompts in all 3 of them and then comparing the results. I know personally which one wins for me, but I thought it might be an interesting exercise just to take you through and also show you a few things about these languaging models if you haven't used them before, because at the end of the day, we all want to leverage time, right? And we don't want to be staring at a blank screen, not knowing what to record, what to write, etc. And I think that's a huge stumbling block for a lot of people. We know that we need to be putting out this content, and then we sit in front of a blank Google Doc and it's crickets. What are we going to write about? You have all this knowledge in your head, but where do you start? Okay. And is there a recipe, as it were? So first of all, yes, there's a recipe. If you're new to this, let me just get some basics out the way. And this, again, is my personal opinion based on my business and working with many digital and creative entrepreneurs over the years, okay? We all pretty much use the same strategies, just wrapped up in different colored bows. But at the end of the day, let's say this is the recipe, right? So first of all, you should be producing content for search engines and not for socials. Okay, this is a big thing. So this is something where I see a lot of clients and brands out there going wrong, right? They produce all their content for social. So it's all about posting a short, posting a carousel on Insta. It's all about that Facebook post, etc. And where is it all leading to? Nobody actually seems to know. So sometimes it leads to your Linktree page or your bio page or whatever, where you've got some links. Great. But there's no longevity, right? So we all know we're at the whims of the algorithm. Okay, if Insta wants to show it today, it will. If Facebook wants to show it today, it will. And if you're not paying for advertising, maybe only 10 people will see it, okay? So personally, I think purely creating content for this fleeting thing called social is a strategy fail. What we should be doing is producing content for search engines and then repurposing that content for socials. So what does that mean? That means if you're producing words, write a blog for your website that is SEO optimized that Google can find. Okay? If you're doing video like this, record a video for YouTube. Because again, people are going to YouTube and searching for whatever you are recording about, whatever that knowledge is about. If you're creating, listicle images, Pinterest style pins, etc., stick it on Pinterest. Pinterest is a search engine. That stuff is always going to be searchable. These are the places people go to search for information, right? Google, YouTube, Pinterest. Those are search engines. So that is where you should be creating your content for. And then you take that content, that longer form content, because generally a full blog post is longer or a full video is longer, and you chop that up to create your content for socials. So for example, you take your long video like this, you chop out little 60-second snippets, and that becomes your story on Insta or your reel on Insta. If it's a blog post, you grab some snippets and that becomes your carousel on Insta, and so on and so forth, right? So if you're creating content purely for social and that content isn't going anywhere in a search engine, my personal opinion is that is an exercise in futility. Stop immediately. change your strategy. Okay. So that brings us to, where do we find these ideas and how do we start actually creating this content? Because, oh my gosh, like you've just managed to wrap your head around being able to do a selfie for social, and now you've got, like, where do you even begin? So let's talk about some of these languaging AI things, right? Alrighty, so let's hop right in and start playing with some of these tools. So to start with, we have OpenAI. So I'm on the paid plan of OpenAI, and I'm testing with GPT-4 so that we are just on more equal playing fields, because I am testing OpenAI up against Jasper AI, and I know that Jasper AI uses GPT-4. And then I'm also testing SureWriter. Now, I'm not sure which version of GPT SureWriter uses, for example, but that's what we're going to test. Okay, so let's just run some real world examples here. I'm working on my template cloud at the moment for WordPress. I know you guys are all multi-passionate entrepreneurs and you come up with ideas all the time. So what's the first thing you need to do is you need to come up with a name for your business, right? Actually, before you come up with the name for your business, the power really in using these conversational models is teaching them about your brand voice so that they can produce content that sounds like you. Okay, so let's start by looking at Jasper in this case. So you've got this section called brand voice and tone, and you can go and set up your own brand voice. Okay, so I'm going to go through how you would do that. So you would go here and you've got the option of setting up your brand voice from text or from a URL. Now this is great because you may have worked with a copywriter before, for example, and maybe you have an established brand voice, or you've got a sales page you're really proud of, or you've got an email you're really proud of, whatever document it is that you're really proud of and you feel really nails your brand voice. You can then just use that URL to that sales page or copy and paste that text from your Google Doc or whatever the case is to go ahead and create your brand voice. Now, you could also use somebody else's site to create your brand voice based on theirs, or you could use their site to see the kind of recipe, as it were, of the brand voice, run your own stuff through the brand voice and compare those two pieces of brand voice description, let's call it, and then bring in elements to your brand voice that you would like to see more of. Okay, you don't want to create a brand voice based on somebody else's stuff entirely, but you can use this as an exercise to go and figure out people's brand voices, right? And you can, as I say, compare that. So I've done that in the past. I've entered in the URL of, let's say, brands that I really respect, like the sound of, etc. I see how their brand voice is described. Then I go and enter in the URL of my sales pages. I see how the brand voice is described, and I do a mishmash to bring in some of the elements of the brand voice I aspire to be using, and I create my unique brand voice. So in my case, I'm going to use an example to teach my brand voice of one of my sales pages that speaks most to my customers, that I get the most feedback from, that I get the most bookings from, etc. So if you've got a successful piece of content, a piece of content that's done well for you, that's a good place to start. Okay, so let's go back and have a look at that. So I'm going to go and grab the URL of my 1 week deluxe launch sales page, because that is the one that speaks most to my clients. I'm going to go and paste that URL in, and I'm going to hit continue. And now Jasper's going to analyze the text. It's going to detect the tone and get to grips with how I write, etc. So this process takes, I don't know, maybe 45 seconds or so, and there you go. So here is your tone, okay? So it's telling me that my brand voice is energetic, persuasive, conversational. Yes, that sounds like me, yes. And it goes on with some other descriptive words. You can edit this and you can tweak this, right? So you can also use this if you are, let's say you're following a brand or a competitor or whatever that you like the tone of. You could do this exercise on their sales page or their email or their copy, whatever, and you'll get a tone spat out, right? You can then take your tone, take their tone, compare them, and see if there's elements in their tone that you'd like to introduce into your tone. So it's not a good idea to go out there and steal someone else's tone, first of all, and just use it off the back. That would be against the terms and conditions of using Jasper for sure. But I think it's an interesting exercise. It may give you some insight into your own brand tone. If you feel perhaps your brand is a bit tone deaf, let's say, and you're not connecting with your ideal clients, your target market, as well as Joe Blogs is, it's worth doing a comparison and just looking at those key descriptors of that brand voice and going, okay, this is an adjective that comes up a lot when I'm looking at these kinds of creators, maybe the word energetic, let's say, and that word is not in your descriptor. That's immediately a sign to you to say, okay, we need to get a little bit more energetic. Maybe that's what it is. And then you can be more aware of that and introduce a little bit more of that energy into your posting, as an example, right? So I think it's really interesting that this is the way that Jasper's done it. It really is, as you can see, very easy, right? And then you just give your voice a name and you go ahead and you say create voice, okay? Now I'm not using that brand voice. I'm using a brand voice that I've structured previously. And what I'm going to do is use that brand voice across all three of these so that we are comparing these tools on an equal footing, right? So the first thing I went to ChatGPT, because I have to teach ChatGPT this brand voice first that I've loaded into Jasper. And I said to ChatGPT, hi there, I'd like to teach you about my brand voice. So it spat out a whole lot of information about how you can go ahead and give it the information to teach the brand voice. Now, personally, this was quite intimidating to me because I'm not a copywriter. I'm not good with copywriting at all. And I don't know that I necessarily understand the differences between some of these things and the nuances between them enough to actually intelligently train ChatGPT on my voice. Okay, so what I did was I just went ahead and told ChatGPT, this is my brand voice. So then ChatGPT said, got it, let's break this down. It described each of the things and said, okay, great. Now let's imagine some new products, and it just started spewing out a whole bunch of whatever. So I stopped it there because I wanted to tell it to do what I wanted to tell it to do, right? So the next thing I asked it to do is come up with a name for my WordPress template library, which is a collection of page layouts and section layouts that can be used on any WordPress website and blog posts and pages to help driven entrepreneurs who are idea rich and time poor. That's my writing, right? And so it spat out a bunch of answers. Okay, so I'm going to take you to Jasper Chat and I'm going to show you something that's really cool. Okay, so this here, we're going to copy. I'm going to go to Jasper Chat. You can see I've got my brand voice selected. And here is the instruction I gave ChatGPT. Now in Jasper here, first of all, I recommend turning it onto this quality setting rather than speed. I find that gives much better results, number one. And then it's got this genius thing called enhance prompt over here. I'm not an expert on how to ask ChatGPT for stuff, right? Now, I realize I can probably go one step back and say, teach me how to ask for this thing, but it becomes quite laborious. With Jasper, I have this option of typing in what I want and then I hit enhance prompt. And what it does is it actually tells me how to ask it. So it's taken what I've said there and it said, first of all, act as a brand consultant. Okay, genius. Yes, I'm not a ChatGPT expert. I'm now telling Jasper, okay, act as a brand consultant, create a catchy and memorable name for the WordPress, blah, 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 blah. And it goes through a little bit more. It gives the AI more information, okay? Now, we don't have this option in ChatGPT. So I guess this is why you pay a little bit more for a solution like Jasper, because you have some of these cool functionalities, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try that enhanced question, okay, the act as a brand consultant question. And now it's going to come up with some names. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because again, we want to compare things on an equal footing, it's not really comparing things on an equal footing, because we are now using another tool to get the prompts right for ChatGPT. We're getting the prompts right in the first place, and ChatGPT is something you would need to learn. So I've gone ahead and put that prompt in, and now it's spat out some name options. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing. So here we go. This is the same exact, and I'm just going to redo it, the same exact question into SureWriter. Okay, so let's compare some of these. Jasper has said to me, quick craft, emphasizing the efficiency of the, that's cool. I'm all about speed, so in my game. Idea Ignite, okay. Page Pulse, Effortless Web, oh, I like that. Express Web Craft, bit long. Design Dash, okay. Let's go and look at Chat GPT. We've got Flex Press Palette. Okay, I don't like the palette, but Flex Press is quite cool because they're playing on the WordPress. Snap Solve, VersaView, I don't know what the hell that is. Idea Flow Frameworks, these are getting very long. Quick Build Blueprints, I'm not liking any of the rest of those. Okay, let's see what SureWriter has put out. Snap Layouts, Hustle Press. Okay, I like Hustle Press. So blending the entrepreneurial spirit of hustle and the core platform it's built on, WordPress. Timecraft or Time Crafted, Swift Site, FlexiPress. So that's interesting because that was one that came up here, FlexPress. So they've come up with similar things, obviously using the same AI, right? So remember, these are languaging models. At the end of the day, they go out and they look for similar things that people are talking about online and the words that they use around it, and it's throwing back similar words to you. Yeah, they've all got one that I like, okay? I'm not going to go with any of these particular ones. I'm going to go with something completely different. But it's interesting to see the different results that you get from the different AIs, right? Now, I did this process about a week back. And I did this without upgrading OpenAI to ChatGPT 4. I was using ChatGPT 3.5. I'm just going to say it, pretty useless. Okay, so first of all, if you're using the free OpenAI, you may want to upgrade and rather use ChatGPT 4. That is giving me much better results, and I know that's what Jasper is using as well. So a few weeks ago, I did this exact exercise to start doing some brainstorming in terms of what I'm going to name my offer, right? And it was quite interesting. For me, 100% of the time, Jasper gave me better results. I was getting absolute rubbish pretty much from the other ones, and they were giving me the same thing, like the exact same thing, right? Almost word for word. There was just a word here different. So they were obviously writing from the same script, but Jasper was giving me something completely different. And I think that comes down to ChatGPT 4. So at that time, I was using ChatGPT 4 on Jasper, and it was giving me much better results than the 3.5 on OpenAI on its own. So ChatGPT 4 is definitely, I would look at tools only that are using ChatGPT 4 or up. So the two things that keep me coming back to Jasper AI time and again is the brand voice and how easy it is to use that it's preloaded and you just select it. And this little genius button here called Enhance Prompt. That is genius. Okay, but there are other amazing things about Jasper that is really, for me, this is the way that I'm going to be sticking with, even though it's slightly more expensive than the other option for me, which is the ChatGPT 4. And the reason for that is also their templates. Okay, so they have a super extensive library of templates, and they have the ability to create your own templates. So you can actually set up your own templates. Let's say you've got a particular format you follow as a copywriter, as a business, as an entrepreneur, or whatever, for your sales pages that follow this particular format. You can actually put that in as a recipe, and then you write one description and it spits out a whole sales page content for you. So besides all of these amazing templates to start with, and there are social posts, there's a one-shot blog post, which is pretty cool, which has intro, body, conclusion, like that. There's emails, so here's all the emails, there's a content improver, there's a content writer, there's subject lines, there's features to benefits, there's personalized cold emails, there's persuasive bullet points, so there's all sorts of stuff, right? And then, of course, there's different blogs. So you can either create blogs by using these different parts and putting them together. So write a blog post. First of all, give me blog post topic ideas. Then pick an idea. Then you go, okay, write a blog post intro paragraph. Then write the outline. Then write the conclusion. And the one feeds to the other, right? Or as I say, you can put that all together in a recipe for yourself. I wanted to show you a little bit behind the scenes about these copy AI kind of tools and how easy it is to use them. And it's, like I said, it's all about knowing what to ask them to do, right? So you can say, write me a nurture email that's about X, Y, Z. The more info you give them, the better. Act as a marketing content editor and blah, 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 blah. Now with Jasper, I'm loving that it's teaching me how to write those prompts. And I think that's super important because it takes a few questions and answers with OpenAI and ChatGPT-4 to actually teach it what you're wanting to actually get. And we don't necessarily all speak AI, right? I think if we were copywriters working with AI every day, it would be amazing, but we aren't. So I wanted to do this experiment of comparing how each of them would create something. So we've been through some names, and now I'm going to give it a specific instruction. So we're going to do one more example here. We're going to go off to Jasper in our brand voice, in our chat, and we're going to ask it to write an email because that is what I'm doing today. And that is why I'm recording this video. So I, again, use Jasper and enhanced prompt to actually create this very detailed prompt for them. So it says, act as a digital marketer. Write an email to a busy entrepreneur explaining the potential benefits and methods of using AI for content creation. Start by introducing your credentials in the field and provide some background on why AI can be a game changer for their content creation. So like I have put nothing in here aside from my brand voice, okay? So this is literally going in cold. Okay, so we're going to send that to Jasper. We are going to send that to OpenAI, and we are going to send it to Assistant. And let's see what it spews out and maybe do a comparison. Jasper's still busy writing, as is this, and as is this. So here's the interesting thing. So look at OpenAI, ChatGPT-4, unlock the future of content creation with AI. Look at the subject line in SureWriter, unlocking the power of AI for streamlined content creation. Pretty similar. Let's look at the subject line, supercharge your content creation with AI, get ready to soar. And that sounds a little bit more like my brand voice, to be honest. It sounds a little bit more me, right? It's got a little bit more like pizzazz. Okay, then it goes, dear entrepreneur's name. Greetings, my name is blah, blah, blah. A digital marketer with over X years experience in leveraging advanced technologies. If we now head along to SureWriter, I hope this email finds you well amidst your busy schedule. I don't talk like that. As a digital marketer with extensive blah, 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 blah. This sounds very AI to me. Let's go to ChatGPT. Hi there, are you ready to take your business to the stratosphere? It's more like me, although I don't think I would use the stratosphere term. I'm a digital marketing astronaut who's been navigating the vast cosmos. Okay, maybe not Jasper, but this is sounding a little bit like more interesting at least. It at least gives me an idea of where to go. Okay, and it's got a sense of humor here. It's saying AI and content creation sounds like sci-fi, right? But what if I told you it's already there and it's going to revolutionize your business? Okay, so I like this angle because I had a personal angle that I was planning to add to the beginning of this post anyway. And that kind of gives me an idea of how to segue into this article. Okay, I've got more ideas from the Jasper intro than I have from this. This is sounding like anyone. It does not sound like my brand voice that I've just given it. And similarly with this, it's not sounding like me. Okay, so let's get into the actual important bits. So here's why you should consider AI: time saving, 100% cost efficient, 100% quality control. Okay, I'm not so sure about that because these tools are not there to vet quality. They just vet things like grammar, not quality of the information. Okay, exactly the same and exactly the same. Okay, so they've all come up with the same thing. So now if you and your brand competitor are using AI, you're going to come up with the same thing, right? So you really need to find a way to personalize this content and maybe swap out some stuff just so that it's not obviously AI, right? And then, of course, it goes ahead to recommend some tools. So, of course, this is in Jasper. So the number one tool recommended is Jasper, and then Grammarly, and then Phrase. Okay, these are all good tools. And let's see what OpenAI says. Oh, of course, OpenAI's ChatGPT-4, yes. Oh, this is interesting. Why SEOP compose? I haven't seen that one come up before. And then it's given itself a pat on the back again, ChatGPT. Okay, let's see what Assistant says. Okay, so Assistant's actually the only one that hasn't recommended itself, which is actually quite cool. Market Muse. These are things I haven't necessarily heard of before, which is interesting. Copy AI I have heard of, and I know that Copy AI uses ChatGPT-4 as well, I think. Okay, and then SureWriter goes on to say getting started, which neither of, oh, there we go, steps to get started. Define your goals, choose the right tool, experiment and iterate. Identify goals, yes, so the same content, right? So they're writing from the same hymn book, let's say. So it's quite interesting, right? I'm still going to keep running this experiment, but definitely those two things that I keep coming back to, the brand voice and the enhanced prompt, are the two things that keep me coming back to Jasper, or maybe make it easier to use Jasper for me, because I don't know how to correctly prompt or effectively prompt OpenAI or ChatGPT-4. And so it comes down to the prompting. Okay, so long and the short is how you should be leveraging OpenAI, how you should be leveraging AI is to prevent the staring at the blank screen thing, right? So use it as a starting point. So this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and grab the copy I like from these tools. I'm going to pop it into a Google Doc, and it is then a starting point for me to massage, swap things out, change it up, etc. That's what AI is good for. So it is a starting point. It's a first draft, right? And in the same way that templates, WordPress templates, website templates, copywriting templates, they're there for you to create, or to guide you to create first drafts, just so that you are not staring at the blank screen. I can't start from a blank screen. I don't know about you, but I can't do it. So if you have a problem with a blank screen, go in and try out some of these AI tools so that you can at least get started somewhere and see how it goes.